Hello friends, this is Narendra Sharma from the platform of IQCIVILS IAS Academy. Today we are going to discuss about the northeastern hills and mountains. As you can see here, northeastern hills and mountains, and we are not going to discuss other hills and mountains of India. So we have to focus on especially on northeastern hills. So let's begin. Before proceeding, I will introduce you from the panel of elite faculties who are going to teach you here, who are going to guide you and mentor you. So, this is, and these are the programs, isn't it? You can see here, these are the government projects conducted by IQ Civils IAS Academy. So, you can see through, you can go through each and every program, one, two, three, four. These are the Google reviews, and the reviews are explicitly saying that yes, this is a place where you can make your dream or where you can successful with your dreams, isn't it? So BNIS with IQ Civil Science Academy. Well, so today's topic is northeastern hills and mountains. As you can see here in the diagram, there are few hills which has been mentioned like Patkai Boom, Naga Hills, Mizo Hills, Khase Hills, Garo Hills, Jayantia and Barail Range. Okay. Now in detail if you see, you can see the map here and you can see the several hills and mountains. For example, here you can have Garo Hills, Khasi Hills, isn't it? Jayantia, Mikir, Barail Range, okay, Dafla, Miri, Abod, Mishmi Hills. From eastern side, it is Patkai Boom, Naga Hills, Manipur Hills, isn't it? Then Mijo Hills and Mijo Hills are here, and Tripura Hills are here. So these are the various mountains and hills of northeastern states. So we are going to discuss about northeastern hills and mountains of northeast states. Well, as you can see here, Brahmaputra marks the eastern border of Himalaya. You should know that Brahmaputra marks the eastern border of Himalayas beyond the Dihang Gorge, isn't it? Now you can see in this diagram that Brahmaputra is entering from here, isn't it? See, Brahmaputra is entering from here and it is flowing through these states of northeast, which you can see here, isn't it? So this is the Brahmaputra which is flowing through Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, isn't it? And here it is. I am marking here. You can see here. This is Dihang Gorge, just above this map, isn't it? There's a Dihang Gorge, as you can see here. Dihang Gorge is here in Arunachal Pradesh, through which Brahmaputra takes a sharp hairpin bend, isn't it? Brahmaputra is coming from Mansarovar and now it is flowing in this direction towards east and it turns suddenly towards south like a hairpin bend, and this is known as the Gorge, isn't it? So the Hang Gorge is exactly here. I'm marking here. The Hang Gorge is exactly here. Gorge is what? V-shaped valley. If you see the V-shaped valley, then the deeper V-shaped valleys है ना, that are known as gorges. Deeper V-shaped valleys are known as gorges, and such kind of V-shaped valley has been formed due to erosion made by the river Brahmaputra. Okay, so river Brahmaputra has made V-shaped gorges here, not only valley, but it is a gorge because it's the deeper here, and through this gorge, which is known as the Hang Gorge, this Brahmaputra enters into India and flow like this, isn't it? So it is about the Hang Gorge. So beyond the Dihang Gorge, as you have seen, Himalayas bend sharply towards south, as you can see in the diagram, and forms the eastern hills or Purvanchal. Mind it. Brahmaputra bends sharply towards south and forms the eastern hills or Purvanchal hills. Isn't it? See, Brahmaputra turns south. Like again, I am showing you here. I am erasing all the ink, and let's see when Brahmaputra is flowing through this area. It is a physical boundary, isn't it? Boundary between other state, I mean other regions of northeast states and Purvanchal hills or northeast hills which are locating here at the boundary, isn't it? So here you can have northeast hills and Brahmaputra is forming boundary. That's why it is written here. The hills run through the northeastern states of India. The hills run through the northeastern states of India, and these hills differ in scale and relief, but these hills are covered with dense forest, isn't it? I mean, the hills are having different heights, isn't it? They are having different scale and relief also, but they are also covered with dense forest. Why they are dense forest? Because of huge rainfall, isn't it? Generally, northeast states of India receives very high rainfall, isn't it? In the coming videos, I'll discuss why such states are receiving high rainfall, and that's why rivers are flowing here. Their elevation decreases from north to south, isn't it? North to south means the height of the northeast hills decreasing from north to south. For example, in north you can see Mismi, then Patkai, Naga, Manipur, Mijo. So, what you can say, the height is decreasing as we are moving from north to south, isn't it? As we are moving from north to south, height of the hills are decreasing. Okay, see here. Although comparatively low, these hill ranges are rather forbidding because of rough terrain, dense forest, and swift streams. What are the characteristics of these hills? You can see here rough terrain. It means there's a terrain is not uniform. It is like this, isn't it? Sometimes higher, sometimes lower. So this is rough terrain, isn't it? Dense forest, swift streams. Swift streams means the rivers are flowing swiftly, isn't it? Because of heavy rainfall here. Purvanchal hills are convex to the west. What does it mean? You can see Purvanchal hills. These are the Purvanchal hills which are convex towards west. It is written convex, not concave. Convex towards west. So this is like this. Purvanchal hills are like this. From this side, east side it is concave. Purvanchal hills are concave from eastern side. But you can see from the western side it is convex. From this side, Purvanchal hills are convex, and this is the Purvanchal hill. I mean, which one? Mismi Hills, Patkai Boom, Naga, Mijo, Manipur, isn't it? Tripura. So these hills are forming the Purvanchal hills. They are known as Purvanchal hills. Mind it. Purvanchal hill north to south, and they are forming concave boundary towards east and convex boundary towards west, isn't it? So these hills are composed of Patkai Boom, which is bordering between Arunachal Pradesh, Patkai Boom, which is bordering between Arunachal Pradesh, isn't it? Uh, yes, bordering between Arunachal Pradesh and Myanmar. Okay, so hills, which hills are composed of north are known as northeast hills. For example, here Patkai Boom between Arunachal Pradesh and Myanmar, then Naga Hills, okay, then Manipuri Mizo, Manipuri, Mizo, and Tripura is also here. So in this way, this is forming the boundary, isn't it? Northeastern boundary, and this is bordering. These hills are bordering with Myanmar. So these northeastern hills or Purvanchal hills, these northeastern hills or Purvanchal hills, this is your India, rest part of the India, and here you have Garo, Khasi, Jayantia, Bareil, isn't it? Here it is Abhor, Mishmi, isn't it? Nikir, such hills. But all these hills are not the Purvanchal hills. If you are talking about Purvanchal hills, there's a difference between Purvanchal hills and Northeast hills. For example, in this diagram, each and every hills and mountains comes under Northeast hills, okay, or Northeast mountains. But if you see the Purvanchal hills, then this one, Patkai Boom, Naga, Manipur, Mizo, Tripura. These are the Purvanchal hills, which are making physical boundary between India and Myanmar, isn't it? And it is believed that there was a Indo-China river which was flowing here, isn't it? It is believed that it is believed from the view of scientists that Indo-China river is flowing from here. It was flowing from here, and after the drying up of river, the sediments got folded into fold mountains, which are now known as Purvanchal Hills, isn't it? Or Northeast Hills sometimes. Purvanchal Hills mainly, and these are the Purvanchal Hills. They are sometimes also known as Northeast Hills because they are the part of Purvanchal, isn't it? Eastern part. They are also known as Northeastern Hills. So this is making the boundary, physical boundary between Myanmar and India, isn't it? Physical boundary. And here there was a river which was flowing, whose name was Indo-China River. After drying up of Indo-China, the sediments got folded into such fold mountains which are known as Patkai Boom, Naga Hills, Manipur Hills, Mizo Hills, Tripura Hills, isn't it? So, in this way, the northeast hill has been formed. And one more thing you should know that the sediments have been compressed by the pressurized or by the pressure of northeast, sorry, Indo-Australian plate and Burmese plate. So two plates from both the side. One is Burmese plate from here, Burmese plate, and from here, Indo-Australian plate. So both these plates have compressed the sediments of Indo-China River from both the side, and that's why because of compression from both the side, as you can see here, one plate is pressurizing from this side, another plate is pressurizing from this side. That's why the sediments of Indo-China River got folded into fold mountains, isn't it? This is the reason, or this is the theory how this mountain has been formed. Well, if we see the mountains and hills of northeast India, let's see one by one in detail, isn't it? So here, as you know, the Brahmaputra is forming the Himalayas eastern boundary, isn't it? This is the Brahmaputra river which is forming the Himalayas eastern boundary. Okay, and Himalayas curves steeply southward. Himalayas curves steeply southward. As you can see here, beyond the Dihang Canyon. Dihang Canyon is here, marking from another pen. Dihang Canyon is here, and this is the northeast hills, and this is your Brahmaputra, isn't it? And this is your Dihang Gorge. So northeast hills and mountains are the part of Himalaya mountain chain. Okay, they are the part of Himalaya, mind it. But they are having basic alignment from north to south here. Basic alignment from north to south, isn't it? And you can also see that the formation, geological evolution. If the question is asking, if UPSC asks question from this part or explain the evolution of Northeast Himalayas or Purvanchal Himalaya, then you have to write about this Indo-China river, which has been dried up and sediments got folded by these two plates, compression of these two plates, Indo-Australian and Burmese plate. Okay. So this story you have to explain if they are asking about the evolution of Northeast Himalaya. Find it. Okay. So how Northeast Himalaya has been evolved? This was the theory. Let's talk about other hills also. For example, uh, these northeast hills and mountains are known by local names also. Local names like Patkai Boom in the north. Here you can see Patkai Boom, isn't it? Patkai Boom, Naga Hills in south, isn't it? Manipur Hills, then Mizo Hills, and Tripura Hills. Okay, so in this way, they are the low hills. I mean, these northeast hills, all hills, whatever you can see, Garo, Khasi, Jaintia, Mikir, Rengma, Barail, Dafla, Miria, Bhor, Mismi, all these hills are, why they are known as hills? Because they are having lower height. Okay, they are having lower height, and such lower height hills are populated by jhum cultivators, isn't it? I hope you know about the jhum agriculture. Such mountains are occupied by jhum cultivator. This region, these mountains are geologically unstable, mind it. Geologically unstable. That's why sometimes we have seen dangerous earthquake in northeast area. And why it is geologically unstable? Unstable because here northeast, Indo-Australian plate and Burmese plate both are merging, both are converging. That's why it is not stable. And from upper part, Chinese plate is also pressurizing this region. So you can see from three sides. These regions are getting pressure from three sides. One is from China, this is from Indo-Australian plate, and this is from Myanmar. That's why this region is geologically unstable. Okay, Mount Dapha in Arunachal Pradesh is a mountain. Its name is Mount Dapha. Mount Dapha in Arunachal Pradesh is the highest or the tallest mountain of the area with 4578 meter of height. Tallest mountain range of this region. Okay. Now see. Patkai Boom. Let's see one by one. As you can see, Patkai Boom here, Northeast Hill, making the physical boundary between Myanmar and India. So Patkai Boom is forming. You should note that Patkai is forming border between Indo-Myanmar. Okay, Indo-Myanmar, and it is crossing through Arunachal Pradesh. I mean, Patkai Boom is crossing through Arunachal Pradesh and Nagaland. Okay, not completely. So their summits are lower. Patkai Boom summits are lower but conical. You should note that Summits are yani height is lower, summits are lower but in conical shape. Okay, steeper slopes, mind it. Steeper slopes. This is Patkai Boom. Here you can see Khasi Hills. Here it was Patkai Boom. It is Khasi Hills. Khasi Hills are also low-lying hills which are locating above Shillong Plateau. Locating above Shillong Plateau. Isn't it? Which one? Khasi Hills. And Khasi Hills, it is the part of Garo, Khasi and Jaintia. As you can see, Garo is here, Khasi is in middle, Jaintia is here. So they are in parallel with Garo, Khasi, Jaintia, which connects Purvanchal range. Garo, Khasi, Jaintia, then Bareil, and this is Purvanchal range, Naga Hills, Manipur Hills, Mizo Hills. Okay, Khasi Hills Khasi Hills is having keep-like structure like this. That's why monsoonal winds are trapping. Clouds are also trapping in this keep-like structure, funnel-like structure of Khasi Hills, and there is a concentrated rainfall only in this region. That's why Masin Ram and Chirapunji, they are the part of Khasi Hills, and they are receiving highest rainfall not only in world but in Asia, isn't it? Garo, Khasi, and Jaintia, isn't it? So Garo, over the Garo Hills, you can find Nokrek National Park. Nokrek National Park is very famous park for the variety of species of the biodiversity in this area, isn't it? Jayantia. Jayantia is here. Jayantia is known for Jayantia is known for production of fine timber. Production of fine timber and goods, isn't it? And all these Garo, Khasi and Jayantia, they are the part of whom? Shillong, isn't it? Shillong Plateau, as you can see here, Meghalaya, part of Meghalaya, and all these hills are receiving high rainfall, but but the Khasi receive the highest rainfall, isn't it? Naga Hills, as you can see here, Naga Hills. We have discussed about Patkai Boom, Garo, Khasi, Jaintia. Now come to Naga. So Naga Hills, it is also the southern extension of Patkai Boom, isn't it? And Mount Saramati is the highest peak of, with the height of 3826 meter, is the highest peak of Naga Hills. Mount Saramati is the highest peak of Naga Hills, and it is locating at India-Myanmar border. Mount Saramati is again, we can say, locating along the Indo-Myanmar border. Okay. Now Mizo Hills. Let's see. Mizo. There's nothing important about Manipur. Come to Mizo Hills. Mizo and Manipur, isn't it? And Lusai Hills are the part of Mizo, as you can see here. So Lusai Hills are also known as Mizo Hills. Lusai Hills are also known as Mizo Hills. Okay, and they are the mountain ranges. Suppose Lusai Hills or the Mizo Hills are crossing through the states of Mizoram and Manipur. Mind it, in the map it is not very clear, but it is crossing through Mizoram and Manipur. Which one? Lusai Hills. Okay, and shifting agriculture. Shifting agriculture is practiced in Manipur Hills as well as Mizo Hills. So shifting agriculture is practiced where it is practiced in Manipur Hills and Mizo Hills. Okay, so Lusai Hills, Mizo and Manipur. Now next is Barail Range. You can see here Barail Range. Barail Range is again a part of Himalaya, and it stretches from Nagaland. Barail Range stretches from Nagaland and Manipur to Assam. Please note down it. Nagaland, Manipur, and Assam. Okay, to the west, and it is locating between Brahmaputra and Barak River. Barail Range is locating between Brahmaputra and Barak River. Okay, so Brahmaputra and Barak River Valley. This is about, and yes, Barail Range is also connecting to the Patkai boom. You can't see here, but yes, it is connected with Patkai boom also. Because in atlas or map, you cannot delimit the extension of mountains. You can feel that, sir, Barail Range is only here. How it can be connected. The name has been given here, but yes, it is connected with Patkai boom also. Isn't it? Extension is much higher. So Mikir here, Mikir you can see Mikir Hills is found in Assam. Mikir Hills are part of Assam and south of Kaziranga. And you should know that south of Kaziranga National Park, Karbi Anglong Plateau. Karbi Anglong Plateau is a part of Mikir Hills. So Karbi Plateau is also known as Mikir Hills. Mind it. I hope you have heard about Karbi Anglong. Okay. And Mikir Hills or Karbi Anglong is the Assam's oldest. It is the Assam oldest plateau. Mind it. Mikir Hills or Karbi Anglong is the Assam's oldest plateau. Isn't it? And Dambuchko is the highest peak over Karbi. Dambuchko. Dambuchko is the highest peak over Karbi Hills. Now come to Dafla Hills. Dafla is here. Dafla is found between Western Arunachal Pradesh and Assam. Dafla is a part of Western Arunachal Pradesh and Assam. Okay. Here there is an autonomous tribe which is found here known as Dafla. And because of such tribe, these hills are also known as Dafla. And it is Dafla is locating in the north of Tejpur and Lakhimpur of Assam. North of Tejpur and Lakhimpur of Assam, isn't it? This is the location of Dafla. Okay. Now Abor. Here you can see Abor Hills. Abor Hills are locating in Arunachal Pradesh. They are locating themselves in Arunachal Pradesh near China border, isn't it? These Abor Hills are bounded by Miri and Mishmi. These Abor Hills are bounded by Miri and Mishmi. Abor Hills is in the central part, surrounded by Miri and Mishmi, and Abor Hills are drained by Abor Hills are drained by Dibang River. They are drained by Dibang River, isn't it? Dibang River is a tributary of Brahmaputra, mind it. Dibang River is the tributary of Brahmaputra. Now come to the Mishmi Hills. Mishmi Hills. Mishmi Hills are again locating at the confluence of Myanmar, isn't it? Or Indo-Burma mountain or Himalaya mountain. Himalayas are here, Indo-Burma mountains are here. So between Indo-Myanmar or Indo-Burma and Himalaya, Mishmi Hills are locating, isn't it? So these are the uh, hills which are known as hills of Northeast India. What are the significance? I am telling you in short. Significance of Northeast Hills, isn't it? Northeast Hills. Few minerals like gold, copper, silver, and lead are found, isn't it? Northeast mountains are also significant for perennial rivers like Brahmaputra and its tributaries. Significant for perennial rivers like Brahmaputra and its tributaries. Okay, Northeast hills. They are also responsible for very high rainfall in northeast states of India. For example, I have told about Khase Hills, which are forming keep-like structure, and that's why clouds are trapping here. Responsible for concentrated rainfall in this region only, where Masinram and Cherrapunji are located. These northeast hills are also significant for fertile soils, forest wealth, okay, orchards, and summer monsoon is also intercepted. Summer monsoon is also intercepted by Himalayas, as you can see. The Bengal branch enters, take turns like this because of these hills. Otherwise, these monsoon winds could go directly, I mean, they can enter directly to China, but these hills and mountains intercepts the monsoonal winds, and monsoonal winds turns towards west and draining eastern northeastern states and Indo-Gangetic plain. These are the significant part of northeast mountains and Himalayas. Okay, so thanks.